Welcome to the Field of 68 After Dark's YouTube channel. We are going to be live every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time right here on YouTube and on Stadium for the entirety of the spring. Number one, Nelly Davis, FAU transfer. We talked about him a little bit earlier. We'll dive into him more here in a second. Pop Isaacs, Aiden Mahaney, Cliff Amori, and Great Osabar round up the top five. And your boy, Jonas Adu, potentially a Baylor Bear. Kobe Brea, we're going to talk about him in a second. Rylan Griffin, Vlad Golden, and Andre Stojakovic, the son of Peja, who is a better than the 32% that he shot would lead you to believe. Goodman, let's start with this because I think I would say Nelly Davis is the only guy currently on this list, and maybe the only guy in the portal in the portal during this year's window where you could legitimately say he will be an All-American wherever he ends up. I don't know if I'd say that about anybody else. I think you would say that about Nelly Davis. We've heard a lot of numbers with 2 commas, potentially with crooked numbers in the front for some of the players that have committed. To me, Nelly Davis is the guy that I would have circled, and I would have said, if I have 2 commas in my NIL budget, I'm spending 2 commas on Nelly Davis.
Yeah, I mean, he's the one guy that you feel like, okay, you could just give the ball to and say, hey, go get me a bucket, and he can do that. As I said, a lot of these other guys are really good college players. But this freshman class, it's good, but it's not going to blow you away again, and you have the extra COVID year again. So older dudes are going to be more valuable than these freshmen because there's a huge age disparity again for the final year. And again, this freshman class is not going to, like, there's some good players. Obviously, Cooper Flagg's going to be somebody that's talked about all season long ad nauseum. But a lot of the guys that you're looking at on our list here, Great Osabar. Hey, he's a really good player, but a lot of the damage he did was against guys his size or smaller in the Mountain West. Now, if he goes up a level, he's going to have to deal with length and athleticism consistently. Can he score against those guys? As much as I love Aiden Mahaney, and I do, he didn't have a great year at St. Mary's this past year. But what if he goes to a Creighton? Like, imagine Aiden Mahaney, coach. Now, again, he was coached by Randy Bennett, one hell of a coach at St. Mary's. But imagine going from Randy Bennett to Greg McDermott. Talk about 2 really, really good basketball minds and X's and O's guys.
Yeah, if you have Aiden Mahaney out there, I think the fact that he would be playing in front of Ryan Kalkbrenner would be a game changer for him because it's much like having Mitchell Saxon behind you. A lot of your defensive inefficiencies can get mad. I'm not saying Aiden Mahaney's a bad defender, but he's not Davion Mitchell. He's not off night, right? So being able to have that rim protector behind you, I think really would matter. The one name I'd push back on you on here is Pop Isaacs, because I think Pop Isaacs, to me, is in the same conversation as the likes of the Kobe Breas and the Rylan Griffins and the Andre Stojakovic's. To me, he is going to be at his best as the second option on a team. If he is the first option on a team, I think that kind of limits what the ceiling of that team could be. If you put him in a situation where he's the number 2 guy, where he's a floor spacer, where he's getting kind of those secondary actions, I think that's the best situation for him. And I don't know. I think the biggest thing that you'd run into with Pop is that he probably views himself more as the go-to guy. So I think that that's a delicate balance and a needle that you'd have to thread if you are going out and getting him in the portal. Like, if you gave me the choice between spending the money that you would spend on Pop Isaacs and the money that I would get for, let's just say, Kobe Brea or Ryan Griffin, give me Brea or Griffin over Pop Isaacs.
Depends if you have a point guard or not, right? I mean, you're going to need a point guard, and that's what Pop Isaacs is. And, oh, by the way, he played hurt all year. He just had hip surgery. So he played hurt all year. That's why, to be honest, his shooting numbers weren't what they were his freshman year at Texas Tech. But, he's a guy who's tough, who brings it every night. Again, I'm not saying – I think you can honestly, other than Nelly Davis, from 2 to 25 in the portal.
Yep.
I don't think there's a big difference between a lot of these guys. For me personally, if I'm spending my money, I'm spending on somebody I know that is gonna bring it every night, is gonna be able to make plays with the ball in their hands. Like, that's important to me. And Pop Isaacs can do that. He can. He can go get one. He can shoot it from deep. He can make his guys better. And, oh, by the way, like I said, he was not playing it anywhere near 100% last year.
And the dude competes his ass off. Like, I don't want this to sound like I don't like Pop Isaacs, because I
You've
love
come around.
Pop Isaacs.
You have come around on Pop Isaacs.
I had doubts. I mean, look, man, I did not think that he had the willingness to guard that he does and the toughness that he does. And last season really impressed me.
He heard you. He heard your skepticism, and he said,
I'm sure he did. I'm sure he did. Shout out to Rick.
Yeah.
Shout out to his dad.
I'm going to show this clown. I'm going to show this clown.
Do me a favor. Let me run my show here, please. Let me run my show here. What I will say is this. I think there's a reason why you look at a guy like Kobe Brea and you see a list that includes Duke, North Carolina, Kansas, Kentucky, and UConn, right? I think when you look at Rylan Griffin, there's a reason why somebody like a Bill Self has targeted him in the portal. That's the only point that I was making. I think Pop Isaacs is going to be a guy where you need him to be the number one guy, where I think he would probably be best kind of as a number two option. Let's go through this. All right. There are 4 big guys on your top 10 players list. Cliff Amore, Great Osobor, Jonas Aidoo, and Vlad Golden. Vlad, Jonas, and Cliff are all kind of the same player, more or less. Vlad probably is a little bit more post-game than those other two. Cliff might be a little bit of a better athlete. And then Great Osobor is more of like a playmaking 4, stretch 4. Rank those 4 for me in terms of how impactful they will be at their next stop.
Who do we got? Vlad, Great, Cliff,
and Jonas Aidoo.
I'm going to go Cliff 1 because I know what I'm going to get at the highest level from him. That's the difference. Like, I know what I'm getting from Cliff. He's done it over and over. I'll go Vlad 2. I think he got a lot better. Great worries me a little bit. Again, just because he's making that jump. And so I'll go Aidoo 3 and Great 4, to be honest. And I love Great Osobor. I love him.
Yeah, I think Great Osobor, if you could put him in a situation where, and I'm just throwing this out there, he's playing next to a guy like an Amari Williams, where you know you have that defensive presence, where you can kind of allow him to be the floor spacer, playing about 15 to 18 feet away from the basket, allow him to do all the things that he does great, as opposed to making him rely on being like a 5-man defensively. I think that's the best situation for him. Thanks for watching the Field of 68 After Dark. Make sure to hit that like button.